The world is watching closely. Two nations, bound by history, faith, and shared interests, have just taken a step that could reshape the balance of power in the Middle East and South Asia. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have signed a defense pact agreement, and the ripple effects of this moment are already being felt far beyond their borders. For some, it is a pact of security and unity. For others, it is a source of unease, even fear. Why is the world so concerned? What does this agreement really mean? And how could it alter the future of a region already marked by conflict, alliances, and rivalries? To answer that, we need to understand the deep roots of the Pakistan-Saudi relationship. Since Pakistan's birth in 1947, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has been one of its closest allies. Ties were never just political. They were also cultural, religious, and emotional. Millions of Pakistanis live and work in the kingdom, sending back remittances that form a backbone of Pakistan's economy. Over the decades, Saudi oil and financial aid have kept Pakistan afloat in times of economic crisis. And in return, Pakistan's military expertise has protected Saudi borders and trained Saudi forces. Pakistani troops have stood guard in the kingdom, and its officers have served as advisors in Riyadh's defense institutions. This relationship, however, has always been somewhat informal, based on mutual trust and necessity. But now, by signing a formal defense pact, the two nations have elevated that bond into something permanent, structured, and strategic. It is no longer just about goodwill. Is about codifying shared defense, joint training, intelligence sharing, counterterrorism, and potentially even joint defense production. This changes the dynamics entirely. Saudi Arabia, with its immense wealth, is one of the world's largest arms importers. It spends billions every year buying advanced weaponry from the United States, the United Kingdom, and Europe. But despite having some of the most sophisticated military hardware, the kingdom has long lacked experience in real combat. This is where Pakistan comes in. Pakistan's military is among the most battle-hardened in the world. It has fought wars with India, conducted counterinsurgency campaigns against militant groups, and has successfully managed one of the most complex nuclear deterrence postures on the planet. For Saudi Arabia, this pact means access not only to Pakistani manpower, but to decades of combat-tested military wisdom. For Pakistan, the benefits are equally significant. Its economy is fragile, its foreign reserves often depleted, and it has long relied on Saudi support to avoid collapse. Saudi investments in Pakistan's defense industries could give Islamabad's struggling economy a lifeline. Beyond money, the pact also guarantees energy security. In times of crisis, Riyadh's oil supplies have kept Pakistan running. Now, with a formal pact, those assurances become even stronger. But what has the world worried is not just the exchange of soldiers for oil, or money for expertise. The unease lies in the deeper implications, particularly the nuclear question. Pakistan is the only Muslim-majority country with nuclear weapons. While the pact does not explicitly mention nuclear cooperation, the very possibility of Saudi Arabia gaining access to Pakistan's nuclear umbrella is enough to alarm world powers. For years, there has been speculation that Riyadh views Pakistan as a backup option if Iran ever becomes a nuclear power. And even if this pact is only about conventional defense, the shadow of nuclear collaboration looms large. This is why Washington, New Delhi, Tehran, and even Tel Aviv are watching carefully. Each sees the pact through its own lens. For the United States, Saudi Arabia's move raises concerns about reducing reliance on American security guarantees. For India, it raises alarms about Saudi money fueling Pakistan's defense buildup, shifting the balance of power in South Asia. For Iran, it looks like Riyadh is preparing a military hedge, even as the two countries talk of reconciliation. And for Israel, which is wary of Saudi Arabia's shifting alliances, the idea of Riyadh and Islamabad coordinating militarily sends shivers through its security establishment. The timing of the pact is also telling. Saudi Arabia is in the middle of reimagining its role in the world. Under Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030, the kingdom is modernizing its economy, reducing dependence on oil, and seeking new partners in technology, energy, and defense. At the same time, Saudi leaders have watched as American priorities shift elsewhere towards Asia, towards competition with China. The guarantee that Washington once provided no longer feels as absolute. Riyadh needs alternatives. Pakistan, on the other hand, faces multiple crises. Economic turmoil, political instability, and a fragile security environment demand external support. China remains a close partner through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. But Beijing is cautious about getting directly involved in defense commitments. The United States has grown distant, with relations strained by shifting alliances and mistrust. Saudi Arabia, therefore, becomes not just a financial backer but a strategic lifeline. The design of the pact reflects all these realities. It isn't just about joint drills or weapons sales. It is a framework that could cover every domain of modern warfare: land, sea, air, cyber, and intelligence. Regular military exercises will ensure interoperability between the two forces. Intelligence sharing will give both sides better tools to fight terrorism and regional threats. Counter-terrorism cooperation will allow them to coordinate responses to extremist movements that threaten both states. And perhaps most significantly, the pact opens doors for joint defense production, where Saudi wealth could fuel Pakistani factories, producing weapons and technology not just for domestic use but potentially for export. This raises another layer of global concern. If Saudi Arabia shifts even part of its defense spending from Western suppliers to Pakistani industries, it could alter global arms markets. It could weaken Western leverage over Riyadh, reduce dependence on U.S. technology, and strengthen Pakistan's defense exports. This is not just a bilateral matter. It is a shift in the global defense supply chain. Symbolism also plays a powerful role here. The image of Saudi princes standing alongside Pakistani generals sends a clear message to the Muslim world that unity and strength can be found in cooperation. Both nations present this pact not just as a defense agreement, but as a historic moment of Muslim solidarity. It's a narrative that resonates deeply across the region. But to others, this symbolism carries its own risks. To Iran, it looks like an attempt to rally Sunni Muslim powers against it. To India, it looks like an expansion of Pakistan's reach into the Gulf. And to the West, it looks like the erosion of a carefully constructed security order that has existed for decades. One must also look at the logistical side. Pakistan already has thousands of soldiers stationed in Saudi Arabia, providing security and training. Expanding this role under a formal pact means more troops, more bases, and more integrated operations. For Saudi Arabia, whose military has often been criticized for lack of combat effectiveness, this is an invaluable opportunity to professionalize and strengthen. For Pakistan, it means securing long-term military contracts, funding, and influence. But with opportunity comes challenge. Interoperability between Saudi systems, largely Western-made, and Pakistani systems will require careful coordination. Training programs will need to be harmonized. Joint command structures may be tested in ways neither side has attempted before. Success would make this one of the most formidable military alliances in the Muslim world. Failure would expose vulnerabilities that adversaries could exploit. Globally, the pact is seen as part of a wider trend, the rise of middle powers taking their security into their own hands. In a world where great powers are distracted by their own rivalries, regional actors are no longer waiting. They are building their own networks, making their own rules. The Pakistan-Saudi Defence Pact is one such network, and it is being watched because it could inspire others. If Pakistan and Saudi Arabia can build a self-sustaining alliance, why not Turkey and Qatar, or Egypt and the UAE? The map of alliances in the Muslim world could shift dramatically. There is also an economic defense nexus at play. Saudi investment in Pakistan's defense sector would not just modernize Pakistan's military. It would also create jobs, industries, and new technological expertise. For Riyadh, it would mean diversifying away from complete dependence on American and European suppliers. For both, it would mean greater independence in charting their security future. At the same time, millions of Pakistani workers in Saudi Arabia form a human bridge between the two nations. Their presence ensures that the relationship isn't just elite to elite, but people to people. The Defense Pact strengthens that bridge, tying the fate of two societies even closer together. For Pakistan, there is also the element of prestige. As the only Muslim nuclear power, Pakistan has long wanted to play the role of defender of the wider Islamic world. Partnering formally with Saudi Arabia, custodian of the holy mosques, cements that claim. It positions Pakistan not only as South Asia's military power, but as a central pillar of Muslim security. And yet, the anxiety in the world remains. Because this pact does not exist in isolation, it intersects with the Saudian rivalry, with the India-Pakistan conflict, with the Israel question, with the US-China struggle for influence, and with the global effort to prevent nuclear proliferation. In each of these arenas, the Pakistan-Saudi Pact becomes a new factor, tilting balances, raising questions, and creating new uncertainties. Some see danger, others see opportunity. For adversaries, this pact could be viewed as a threat. For supporters, it could be a foundation for greater stability. If the two nations succeed in harmonizing their strengths, they could deter aggression, counter extremist groups, and provide a new axis of stability in the Muslim world. But if mishandled, it could fuel new rivalries, accelerate arms races, and deepen divisions. What is clear is that this is no ordinary agreement. It is a pact rich with history, heavy with symbolism, and loaded with implications. The world is concerned because it represents change, and in geopolitics, change always brings both hope and fear.